faith who have banned you from coming to your family gatherings. Could you imagine those Jewish people? The bitterness that could come in. You guys are brothers. One guy's, your dad says, hey, you're a good Russian son. You're good. You do everything that I like. You even worship the Slavas, the saints. You Jesus person. If you think Jesus is so special, let him give you inheritance because you are getting everything of mine. It happens. It happens in Serbia. It happens in Judaism. It happens in Russia. It happens around the world. And that pressure to conform to what people want you to be, if we're not careful, it can change you. It can make you bitter. It can make you hard. It can make you angry. There's a lot of false religions around Novi Sad. And I'm not so sure that these people were actually looking for truth, but they were fed a lie. So how should I treat these false religions? How should I treat people that don't believe like me? Man, we got to be careful how we treat people. We're going to go out and we're going to talk to people. We're going to give flyers. And there's going to be people that's not going to like it. How do we treat them? Right? And I think this verse right here talks about renewing them is that idea of love. That not letting go so easy. Whether they were a brother, a sister, a friend. Right? Paul talks about often that there were people who were among us who are no longer here. We were talking about that in the book of Philippians this morning, weren't we? And guess what? Paul said to them that there were some that walked away. Philippians chapter 3, we read this morning. How do we treat those people? You might think you don't need this message right now, but I assure you there will be people in here today that in a few years probably will never come back to church. And how do we treat those people on the street? You know, something to think about. All right, so we talked about the impossibility to renew. If it's impossible to renew them, it says it's impossible. Saved or not saved, it's impossible, whatever this is. But then it says, renew them. If it's impossible for them, then why should I try? Just write them off. Well, we have to understand our efforts are many times impossible. The harder you try doesn't mean it's going to help anything. You can send your dad a Bible verse every day. Say, I'm praying for you, Dad. It's probably not going to help. Who knows? But here's the thing, is with God, all things are possible. God knows the heart. God knows if this person is still reachable. God knows if there's positive fruit in the field that will someday sprout. Never give up on people. Why warn people if it's impossible? Because I believe Paul here was giving a preventative maintenance thought. If you're here and you believe and you're in church today, you'll probably at some point have a thought of quitting, saying, this is too much. This guy talks too long. Okay? I'm tired of church. I'm tired of this, and I want to give up. There's evidence here, I believe, that if you give up, you'll probably never come back. There's good evidence to support that. People that leave the faith many times never come back. Maybe it's a teenager. Maybe it's an adult. Maybe it's a spouse. So he's giving a warning, talking about the impossibility of this to happen. We talked about the accompanying salvation. Not that it's tied to our salvation, for by grace are ye saved through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast. But as we live our Christian life, there should be some fruit from your tree. If you don't have fruit, that does not mean you're saved. That does not mean you're not saved, right? But there should be a joy. There should be a desire, right? Sometimes I see people in here, I see them on their phones, right? And to me, it says, do you have a desire to be here? I know you're probably not looking at Bible verses, right? But it doesn't mean they're not saved. It just means maybe they're struggling. You see? So how do we respond to those people? We love them. We help them. We try to put our arms around them. We have sons. We have daughters who are away. Love them. The last one, and we're going to quit. The last question that sometimes people have, I believe you know the answer to this, is the anchor of the soul. Let's look at this. He says to the Christians, be not slothful. Slothful. The idea of, well, I guess I'll just try to pray a prayer today, right? Slothful means not connected, not caring, right? And it says here, guys, don't be slothful, be all in. Be followers of them through faith and patience inherited the promises. For when God made a promise by Abraham, he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely I will bless thee, and multiplying I will multiply thee. And so, we're going to talk about the promises of God in the end. The anchor of the soul. I don't trust governments. Maybe you do. That's great. I don't. I'm trying to do a retirement program for when I get old, but I don't trust it's going to be there. Someone's going to steal it. Oops, the market crashed. Right. Okay. Now, I have very big trust issues. So if you don't trust me, great, let's be friends. Okay? We can both have trust issues together. But the anchor of the soul, what keeps my soul from straying back to my old ways, what keeps these Jewish people in this church from not being able to go back. You may be balancing on the edge of going back, but what anchors you? What's that hope? It's this, that God, who it's impossible to lie. And he shows these Jewish people, just like Abraham, he reminds them, Abraham, he promised Abraham that he will be with you and your seed forever. He promised him. And God says, and God cannot lie. But he also made another promise. He said this, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Hang on a second. If I mess up, then he'll leave me, yes? If I sin, he'll leave me, right? No. His promise is this, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Another promise, he says, I'm going away, and I'm preparing a place for you, that where I am, you may be also. Do you understand that's a promise from God? We find that Jesus died and he rose again. He says, the idea that what I did, I can do for you. So the fact that you're living in a miserable body today, you have an arm that's hard to flap, right? You have a growing cancer inside of you that you don't even know about right now. The sickness, a disease. And we have a promise from our God that he is preparing us a new body in a new place where there is no pain, there is no sickness. That's a promise. And he promises who he is. Man, this anchor, I repeat what I believe it was the Apostle Peter said. They asked him, will you guys also go away? Will you guys also go away? Because these apostles at some point were even tempted to go back because Jesus was saying some very hard things to understand. He said this, unless you drink my blood and eat my flesh, you will have no part of me. And at that point, the Bible says many of them went away. They stepped away. Peter, I believe it was Peter, he said this. They asked him, will you also go away? Are you going to go back? He said this, where am I going to go? To whom shall I go? That's how I feel. Where else is there? What other hope do we have? There is no other hope. He's the anchor. He's the promise. And I'm telling you, if you don't have that anchor of your soul today, if you're hoping, there's two types of hope. There is the hope as in, I hope there's pizza that comes after church. That may or may not happen.